Explain why this is so deceptive. Notice how in the short motion, Kerby Joseph rolls that way to really hide the coverage. The key to that is Minnesota uses a lot of pre-snap motion simply to kind of get a tell on what the coverage is. Man or zone, then they'll have a beater, and that's what they do almost every snap. The problem for Sam is he has a pretty good sense it's probably man coverage here. The problem is that he can't answer is he doesn't know, okay, is the linebacker have him? Does the safety have him? Is the safety blitzing? What are the two free defenders doing? And at this point, it's the two safeties. So because he isn't sure on that, the motion really doesn't give him any answer beside the fact that it's man. And Kerby plays into that by moving that direction on the short motion, because now you get a sense like, oh, he's going that direction when I snap it. So maybe I can go the opposite way to my singled up Jalen Naylor. But then at the snap, when he bails the other direction, now as the quarterback, you're thinking, well, maybe he's bracketing that in. I got to stay away from that. Let me go the opposite direction. We're going to dive into the defensive side of the film today, and I'm going to show some plays that stood out to me when watching this game back, highlight some good things and how well this Lions defense played and how they played this well into this game, the strategy that they utilized, the creativity they had defensively, and also, man, just the execution. And there's so many different individual players to point out. There's so much to go into that we did a show over on Bleacher Report. It was about 35 minutes long over there. You can check it out. It's up now on the events page. And I used this graphic, and this graphic kind of talked through, the question I was asking is this Detroit Lions defense built to last throughout the playoffs as we roll into the playoffs and what we saw? And while I don't think maybe they're going to hold player teams to 9 points going forward, I think a lot of the things that they showed are built to last because this unit is, at this point, pretty darn consistent, especially when they're able to play in the area which makes them comfortable, which is, as we saw, 66.7% of the time man coverage, a lot of press man, which they are clearly built across the board, whether that's Vildor, Amik, Terrion. They're just built to play that kind of style. We're going to go through some of these, and I'll show some good and some bad, but I want to point out the strategy immediately here. So this is the kind of look that we saw first time we played Minnesota as well, so this isn't necessarily new. We get kind of almost like a 6-1 front look here because Brian Branch rolls down on this play, but now he's playing in a slot, which works a lot better. Second thing I point out as well, notice it's 12 personnel. Now, this is what Brian Branch is so special of. And we talked about this on the Bleacher Report show. His ability to play the run as well as he does allows the Lions to feel comfortable with things like this. 12 personnel, a lot of teams will go base package here, right? They'll put a third backer on the field, and maybe that allows Minnesota to find an advantage. The Lions said, nope, you know what? We're just going to leave Branch out there. And we saw that in the snaps. Jalen had like 8 snaps. I think Trevor played like 12 or 15. Their snaps were significantly pulled back, and that was because of Brian Branch's ability to stay on the field. Now, if they went like 21 personnel with CJ Ham, yeah, they put a third backer out there, or maybe if it's a goal line set. But in this spot, the ability of Brian Branch allows them to feel comfortable, and it really kept them from having constant matchup issues, say, because of all the man coverage they play. Second thing I'd point out, Pat O'Connor's back at nose tackle. Now, we've seen him do this in the past, and one guy that we highlighted and said, keep an eye on was Pat O'Connor, and guess what? They're using him at nose tackle in this game, and I thought his athleticism could create some problems, and I think it did at times in this game. Again, he continues to play pretty well, and the thing is with this defensive line is we saw a lot more Levi, as we do here on the interior. We saw a lot more Levi on the interior as a defensive tackle in this game, and Levi had that game. Like the game that, was kind of like the Giants game for Lee McNeil, where it's like that was the breakout for him in a consistent season. This, to me, was Levi's first time having that kind of game. He had 9 pressures in this game. This was Levi's game, and he finally had that, breakout kind of performance. Now, a lot of those were also set up through stunts, but he had a lot of wins, run and pass. He just played the best game of his career. And I think, unfortunately, that makes his price go way up, because it's like, wait a minute, he's capable of that. And Levi did that. We'll see that more as we go forward. But then also notice the strategy. One thing with the Vikings, and the Packers had the same kind of thing, is the slanting fronts give them problems. And with all these zone, especially the outside runs, it can create negatives. Now here it creates a positive. And really the way that they found success were through cutback runs, and we saw that again here with this outside zone toss. But notice how on the strong side of the formation, they slant their gaps. They're going to jump inside. They're going to jump inside. Now the problem is Agude doesn't get inside of Cam Robinson on this play, and it opens up the cutback lane, so it's a good job by the offense. But you're seeing these slanting gaps up front, shooting into gaps. Everybody kind of stacked up on the line of scrimmage. There's O'Connor creating the cutback lane, and Agude unfortunately just misses the tackle here. He kind of loses gaps, falls behind a little bit on the play. But we're going to have to keep that in mind as we go forward, because you'll see that again as we go forward. One of these 2-man looks for the Lions. Brian Branch is in the game, 2 backers in a 12 personnel look. That's a huge part of all of this. The second thing is, when we talked about disguising against this team, I got to the point when watching them, and this goes back to the whole man versus zone thing, is when you look at this team, it was really difficult to find a coverage where it's like, this will throw them off. They'll be confused here. They won't expect this. But what the Lions did is they essentially used disguise, and they had some other movements in here, but a lot of times the disguise was as simple as the safety play. The amount of pre-snap movement from the safeties I thought was everything, because you didn't know if he has the tight end here, and if Alex was going to blitz off the edge, or if Alex had the tight end, and if he was a two-deep safety, or if he was going to roll down, or if he was going to try to bracket in Justin Jefferson. The amount of flexibility by their safeties was, I think, everything in terms of the flexibility they had defensively in man coverage, and to me, that created the most confusion. This type of post-snap movement, just like this. And in this case, you kind of double up and you kind of bracket in Justin Jefferson, and you settle down and you take away the second level of the field. And again, what do we know about Minnesota coming in? The problem was zone. And the one thing I wanted to see was, hey, first down, focus on the run. Two deep safety, cover four, and we saw some of that. But on second down, I was like, hey, if it's second anything beyond 5, I'm playing man coverage. Why? Because I don't want to give easy access. Minnesota has killed teams in the sense of they made it very manageable third down constantly, and a way that they did that was they run these deep second level routes, these deep ins, deep out route. They run these deep second level routes, and their checkdowns are open because if you play with the depth, then they work underneath. If you don't play with the depth, then they hit right in front of your safeties. But the Lions, where teams are typically cooked against man coverage because Justin Jefferson is the second best receiver in man coverage between weeks 1 and 11 this season. That was the sample size that we had. He's so good against man that teams typically don't even try to mess around with that, but the Lions did. And it came back to stopping the run first, but it was then the flexibility in the back end. And again, the pressures up front, you're going to notice a lot of stunts and the success that they had with their stunts up front. But here, we also have to give credit to simply the man coverage. The man coverage here on TJ Hockenson, stepping down, taking away that second level throw, here bracketing it in. This is good underneath coverage, and I'll tell you what, when Amik Robertson can press, play underneath with the safety over top, he looked phenomenal. This was Amik Robertson in his comfort zone. It was almost like, forget the name for a second. Amik Robertson is very twitchy, and you allow him to play with a safety over top, so he's not as worried about the long speed, where that's where the questions kind of arise for him. You let him be physical, where he's awesome, he's a bulldog, and he let him just kind of play underneath the coverage with a guy to help him. He's a problem, and we saw that in this game. Also, Terrion Arnold, we're going to port this more out as we go. Terrion just played the best game of his career, and I've been saying, look, Terrion, man, it is issues in terms of maybe it's awareness or plastering coverage against the Bills, and he's had to constantly overcome these issues. He is a rookie, and he looks like a rookie, and it's a lot of things like that where it's like the little thing, maybe setting yourself up early, it's bumping into a guy in coverage because you're not aware of it. One thing that you'll notice as we go through this, that awareness was great. He constantly has these issues, like early in the season, it was grabbing guys, and then he pulled back, and he stopped grabbing guys, stopped around, and he trusted his feet, he trusted his body control, and his great transition ability that he had coming out of college, and that started to pull back. And he's continued to have improvements, and then he'd knock his head on something, and a team would find a way that they could attack him and kind of go at him and cause issues because he's a rookie, and then he'd adjust, and he'd find a way to respond and to get better. And it's okay. But at this point, Terrion played his best game of the season. And I think all those things kind of came together in this game. Also, they don't really attack you with a ton of fast motion. You're not going to see a ton of fast motion where they put Terrion in the mix. So I think that's another reason why he also played well against Minnesota the first time around, is because they don't do that. So his challenge was spacing, which was an issue against the San Francisco 49ers, and he improved on that in this game. So you'll notice that as we go through, and you can see really good coverage, allowing guys to be physical off the line here. And I think the big thing, and you see the pressure again from the backers, I love this because it was decisive. They started doing this against San Fran. Hey, if your guy does not release on the play, just go, right? Don't just sit there and be in no man's land, go. And that's what Jack did. He's like, yep, he hasn't left, I'm going on the play. And he goes, right? So this isn't one of those plays where it was made out to be Lions went zero coverage every play. They did, but this was not. This was, hey, this is man to back end, two deep safeties. This isn't even considered a blitz. He just rushes late on the play because his guy doesn't release, and he got pressure, but it's held up because he can't get to the first read. And the thing about Sam Darnold that's made him so tough this season is within this offense, they have man coverage beaters, so people stay away from it. The second thing is like when you're in zone, he's great. Timing, progressions, he gets through everything so fast, and he finds the windows. And when he's throwing with that kind of anticipation, it is a problem. It is a real problem. And then they have the threats where you're constantly saying two deep safeties, the underneath is open. You try to take that away, great, you're going to get beat over top, buddy, just like they did the Packers last time. But the Lions said, no, we're not going to live in that world. We're not going to allow that to happen. You're going to have to go earn this. We're not giving you that easy access. And I think what gave Sam Darnold a problem is it's not even just the idea of, oh, he had to make tight window throws, because he can be accurate. He'll miss high with pressure, but he can be accurate. It was that they made him make tight window decisions. It's that they made him read through and try to decipher, is that open or should I go to the next guy? And that throws off timing. Outside of even just pressing, it throws off timing because now you have to make decisions of, is that man coverage spot open? And now he has to try to be decisive in that area. And that caused the problem as well as the defensive line doing what they did. You'll notice a lot of number 91 as we go through this game, just like on this next play here. But now let's talk about, again, the little things. Because this is where the Lions have got so much better. The little things. And I want to focus on Terrion because this was such an issue. It's been an issue at times this season. Watch the awareness here. This man's going to run a drag across the field. And typically when you're running a drag across the field, guys, they're not really paying attention. They're just trying to get back into the play. And all of a sudden, guess what? You run into somebody, they set up a pick, which they're going to try to do with Aaron Jones here. You run into him, and the guy's wide open. And maybe you get an OPI, and if you don't, you give up a big play, just like we did against San Fran. But how about Terrion's awareness? Okay, he's a rookie. He's improving. This is why we add context. I'm not just going to sit here and be like, oh, he's terrible in coverage. Hey, you see him get beat, it's terrible. No, I'm going to show you against San Fran why he got beat. It's because he didn't pay attention after the motion. He didn't get himself depth, and he ran into a guy because they set up a pick play. But guess what? This week, across the board, the Lions are playing with excellent spacing. And to me, if there's one thing you can point to with this defense, it is a smart defense. These guys have grown up fast. I know Jack Campbell's only in year 2, but he doesn't look like the same player at all. He doesn't look like the same guy at all. Alex is very smart. He has those instincts. Meek Robertson's played a lot of ball. That is a smart player right there. And then Terrion, he's continuing to bump his head, and it's like, oh, we got to fix that. And then he does. And then something else pops up. We got to fix that. And then he does. And he's getting there. This is truly an example of development. And watch him on this play. Watch him seek this out. Obviously, he's a good athlete, and we see that here. But notice him recognize the pick play and slip right underneath it so he doesn't get contact and he doesn't get picked off and allow an easy route on the play. Next thing is strength in numbers. We have preached this message. I want a dang shirt that says that. All right, I'm stealing the Warriors logo. Who cares? Or their thing, their slogan. The reality is strength in numbers is here. And we're seeing this 3-by-1 looks for the Lions, and they're setting up stunts off of it. But the truth is guys are winning. They have matchups as we go forward into the playoffs. It's not going to be, the Lions don't have an Aiden Hutchinson right now, hopefully until the Super Bowl, or an Ali McNeil, where it's like, well, he can just kind of go win a lot, and then you just kind of lean on that guy. They have to find guys where most offensive lines outside of Philly, and then even Mekhi Becton we'll see at guard, most offensive lines aren't great across the board. They have some weaknesses, so they'll try to hide it up for sure. But there's going to be matchups that you have to take advantage of. When you have the matchup advantage, you need to take advantage. And that's what the Lions have right now on their defensive line. They don't have an elite player necessarily, at least as we know of right now. But what they have is they have really above average everywhere, especially when their starters are out there. And you know what? Tell me everything I need to know. When the backup D-line was out there, they had some good plays. But it definitely dropped off in terms of pass rush when they didn't have any of their starters out there. But when they do have their starters out there, they are all really above average. And we saw that in a game like this where you don't have a great offensive line, and when the matchups presented themselves, the Lions found a way to take advantage of it. Here's Zadarius Smith working on Brandell, beats him on the play. Levi gets over top of the center on the play. So even though Alex Anzalone gets beat on this play, on the out route with the safety over top, again, we're going to take away that middle of the field route here for Justin Jefferson. We're going to bracket that in. Even though he gets beat, the pass is missed, we have to give credit to the pressure. This is under pressure. And again, this isn't the Lions bringing the house. It's like that's the narrative as well. The Lions have played zero coverage all the time. They did. But this is a 4-man rush, and they won, and they got pressure, and they covered really well. Their assignment sound on a play like this. And he missed a throw. You're making him make tight window decisions, and he missed a throw. That's going to happen. We go to one of these quarters looks on first downs. This is what I expected coming into the game is this cover 4 stuff. First thing I'd point out, again, pressure. Levi went crazy. I can make this whole video about Levi. Levi did his thing. Watch him working on Reisner here. They try to pass it off. There's the stunt success. Now they're on his neck, and he's spilled out of the pocket. The second thing is this could be a coverage beater. This could get open. Why? Right here's the window. Right here's the window on the play. You have this deep crosser with the vertical route. You pull out Ife Melifanu. You take out the outside corner. This could be a window. I love Jack Campbell's depth. There's a play action attached to this. And look at the depth that he gets. Look at how deep he gets on this play. So there's no window here because he's there. So now you got to wait. But then the pressure with 4 again on the play. Spills him out of the pocket. Guy takes a sack. Loss of 17. Now let's go to the run game. Again, this is the depth that the Lions have. Pat O'Connor back at nose tackle. I love that they utilized it in this game. This is Miles Adam. This is Mitchell Agude. Muhammad! This is a full backup defensive line, and they're stopping the run here, man. We get some of the really aggressive play, maybe even a cover 0 look here. But again, this was the problem. Lions, when you make a decision against zone, if you know the zone coverage, you know where windows are going to be, right? Oh, it's cover 3. The flats might be there, right? Depending on how they're playing cover 3. Let's go to the seam. There's certain things that you know when you get coverage looks. And I'll give you one thing. Sam Darnold, He understands the heck out of it, right? He knows quickly what zone coverage is, and he can make the decision. We saw it before we saw it on the missed throw in the 3rd and long. He knew what coverage we were in. He knew we were in 2 deep coverage. He threw the seam to Hawk, and he made that immediately. But it's not the same against man, because even though you know it's man, unless you have a pick play, which the Lions handled, and if you notice in the goal line spots, the Lions didn't switch anything. They just said, we're going to play with good spacing. We're not giving them an easy out, like, oh, here's the switch, and now the guy's open. That's an easy decision. They made him make tough decisions because he had to decipher who was going to be open in man coverage. And the safety movement causes so much havoc because you don't know who has help. And the Lions played into that in this game. Here they bring the double backer blitz, 0 coverage. You match up here, you match up here. And Brian Branch is the guy that gets beat on this play with the deep corner. So they run the scissors concept, right? And typically, hey, if this is cover 4, all right, we can read it out, right? What does the safety do? Where do I take my shot? The problem is it's not cover 4, right? It's a 0 coverage look. So he can't just read it out because even though you see that, hey, Brian Branch steps down in the play, the problem is they're manned up. And you got Darnold who plays this incredibly well. Terrion's playing fast. He's comfortable in a game like this. They're not causing pre-snaps issues. This is great coverage by Terrion. And then you get pressure and you're forcing him to make those kind of decisions. A play like this, and now this wasn't even the highlight of the game. I know this was an example, so I thought I'd throw it in here. The Lions show man pre-snap, but again, the spacing is everything. The way that they were passing off routes was everything. They're going cover 3, so they show man, they go cover 3. You love how we get out here to the flat, right? It's great depth on the play. We force them out. They're trying to set up kind of a little mesh play, but the Lions are in zone, so nothing's there on the play. And then again, pressure, but how about the little added bonus? The containment, the contain, and then notice on the play, everybody's plastered. This is an improvement over what we've seen. Let me show you another example. Now, some of these, Darnold just didn't throw the ball. He just didn't make the right decision. He didn't throw the ball, and he should have thrown the ball. Some of these weren't even that crazy. He was like, okay, I kind of know what's coming here, right? Linebacker blitzes this time, they drop out. So there's a little bit of a disguise look here. Trevor drops, Alex goes on the play. What I love is that even when they try to simplify it, like, okay, hey, guess what? We know they're in man. So let's just run a pick play, and we'll wheel out with our tight end on the play. Look at the things like this. Jack Campbell doesn't even look like the same guy. If you told me Alex did this, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. This is Jack Campbell. He recognizes the pick, he slides underneath it, and covers up the wheel perfectly. To me, this tells me that they're playing fast. And they're so disciplined in this game. They look so disciplined when the straightforward plan was like, look, maybe it gets us into trouble, right? Maybe they have a route that's there because we're doing this, but we're not going to overcomplicate it. We're playing fast. Don't switch anything. Just handle it. Don't switch anything. Handle it, be aware of your surroundings, and have good spacing. And look at pre-snap. He's understanding the spacings pre-snap. He's like, all right, there's Naylor. Let me settle myself in. There's the pick. And watch the shoulder dip. Watch him slide underneath. Bam. Shoulder dip, slides underneath, knows what it is, gets underneath it, and he's in a great spot. Again, spacing is everything. Let's go back to another play like this because the spacing was so on point. How about the linebacker here, Trevor Nowaski, the recognition here? He's dropping out again. Watch him pick up, and they switch off and pass off this route right here between the linebackers. They pass it off. He steps down, takes away the route that maybe could be there, but they handle it well. Then Kirby Joseph handles it well, right? Middle of the field. There's the mesh concept for the man beater. He handles it, searches through it, allows this to pick up with Alex Anzalone, and you pick up the second over route. And this is the coverage. Now, they got us later, Amik in the back of the end zone. It wasn't great as the play went along, and he had him open, and Just Jefferson dropped it. Sometimes it works in your favor, but they're playing so fast. They're not giving them anything easy. So now Darnold has to continue to work and hold the ball. Pressure off the edge here from Josh Paschal. Again, it's a matchup like, hey, let's get a little something. He gives you a little something, spills it out of his hand right here. You can see the ball isn't great. He kind of just isn't really sure about where he's throwing this ball. Look what Darnold throws this. This isn't beautiful. That's not beautiful. That thing should have been picked off. But the coverage with inside safety help, outside leverage from Terrion and Amik, this is awesome coverage. And in the red zone, the Lions have been now, this season, going back to last year in the playoffs, an incredible red zone coverage team. The numbers bear it out. This season, I showed the graphic in the red zone. They're allowing a 40% completion percentage, 36 of 90. 36 of 90, fourth in yards per completion allowed, 13 touchdowns, third best in football. That's their pass defense stats in the red zone to go along with the seventh best in terms of touchdown percentage. That's incredible in the red zone. And especially with Alex back and the amount of flexibility, there's so many reasons for it. They have playmakers. They can take the ball away. They had 6 picks in last year's red zone in defense. They also have the versatility that's so difficult. And they're playing so fast. The discipline is on point at this time when we get into this red zone look. Now, the Lions can maybe disguise it a little bit, but I think it looks a little bit straightforward. All right, it's cover 0. But the thing that I think that's not getting credit is Brian Branch is an elite blitzer. So what does Branch do? Well, he allows you this flexibility. All right, 12 personnel, we're not going to match it. We're going to stay in our nickel set. But the second thing is he's an elite blitzer. There's a skill set. I think some people think it's just like, well, you just blitz him on the play, and if he's not blocked, everybody's elite. Well, that's not true. Brian Branch is elite. The quickness that he makes guys miss. The ability to get in the passing lane. He did this in college. I had a very high grade if you go watch my breakdown we drafted Branch. There's a skill set to this. There truly is. And Branch is really good at it. Watch him here. There's the double move, right? The people are looking at this like, oh, Darnold just missed a pass. We're not going to give any credit to that this is zero coverage and that's the plan. Get the ball out of his hands fast, make him miss a throw. Yeah, Meek bites on this route. But guess what? The throw is missed. Why? Because look at the hesitation here. Branch jumps in the passing lane. You see him pull it back down on the play. Now he's got to speed up the process. He's throwing this before he even breaks. And when he's throwing this, Branch is right on his hand. Like a basketball player. Get right on the hand. And you see that the throw is a little bit too much. It's rushed on the play. That's credit to the defense. Go back to the run defense because Levi had himself a day. Levi has to be that guy. He's in the perfect spot. When you have guys like Pascal and O'Connor and Muhammad who's playing much better that can play the end, you can kick Levi inside. And man, Levi has been coming along now all season. He's been consistent. And over the last few weeks, every time I've done a defensive video, I'm like, hey, look at these couple plays of Levi going to work. I love seeing this. And then we get a game like this, where Levi just wrecks havoc over and over. And it's like, this was Levi's game. Welcome to what you're capable of, Levi. All of this hype derailed by injuries. And this is what he can be. Levi, it's your chance, man. Go earn the bag, and this is a great start in doing that. Watch him here, over the gap here, working this blocker. The single block just destroys it. Reader handling business. He's been good now weeks on end against the run. Just destroys his block. There's the cutback on the play. It spilled out. Zadarius Smith handles his business. Those two together are a really good tandem. That is a really good tandem. Maybe it's one of the best in the playoffs, I believe, between having two defensive tackles that are capable of that. You see it again here. How about the stunt work that they were creating? Oh, an accident. This wasn't a great offensive line, and the Lions exposed the heck out of it. Here's the slant on the play. There's the stunt set up. You crash down with DJ Reader. He allows Levi to work around top, and this is Levi's wheelhouse. This guy is an athlete. We all know that. And here he comes. The best angle, but you're going to notice as we go through these plays that become broken plays, how well the Lions are actually plastering and containing these guys. The awareness. This is an improvement. You're allowed to get better. You're not the same team week after week. You're allowed to get better. How about Josh Pascal? This is his opportunity. He's on Brandell now. Go to work. That's exactly what he does. Quick hand swipe, wins on the play. There's pressure, balls out of his hands. They try to go to this wheel route. This is a win. This is a four-man rush. People thought the only reason we got pressure is because we brought everybody. No, this is a four-man rush again. There's pressure.
So we've shown the man flexibility, the zero coverage look. Safeties can step over, take receivers. They're comfortable there. So we have that flexibility in these red zone spots. But even on a play like this where I don't show the back end, when teams go to these overloaded, 3x2 sets, maybe offensively, the Lions have that combo coverage they can get to, right? And they play it really well. They've been playing that for years. And then the next clips, you're going to see their quarters coverage, their cover 4 in the red zone that they've been playing for a long time. These are plays that they have just mastered at this point in the red zone.
Now let's go to one of these quarters looks. And this is what I mean when I say playing fast. What makes them so tough in the red zone is the play speed. Because the field is condensed. Everything's tight window. And the Lions do a really good job of taking away window throws. Like even when we go back to the Green Bay game and I was like, hey, I don't love this because it's a little bit predictable of what we're in. And it's like this guy would be open. I remember showing plays like this guy's going to be open if he has time, but he doesn't. And that's just the truth of the red zone is everything's condensed and everything becomes tight window. And if you don't have time, it's going to be a problem. So not only can the Lions play man and blitz, you don't know who's coming on the play, and you have all these playmakers, but in the back end, when they're playing this sound, you get stick nod, vertical on the play. When you're playing this sound, and then again, who's coming through? Levi runs his guy into the pocket, forces the ball out of his hands, and instead of trying to fight with the skies and be like, let's see if we can outsmart Kevin O'Connell. No, we're just going to play really fast, and let's see if you have an answer. It goes back to the analogy I used. He dictates your offense. That's his game plan. He wants to dictate what's happening. He is bringing the fight to you, and that's what the Lions did. They brought the fight to the Vikings. How about the slanting again on the play side here? Step inside. I love this. I'm so glad Lions did this because they typically don't always do this. And they did that in this game. Even when they're not blitzing, they slanted gaps, they created disruption, and allowed them to fill just like this. And then on the backside, guess who? Levi Onwuzurike, once again on this play, blows up his offensive lineman. You can see with Levi, he's slanting on the play, recognizes going the other way. Watch Levi here. So they're trying to slant down like this. Picks up the center, look at the recovery, runs him backwards, plants himself, and makes the stop. Getting in one of these two-man looks. And again, when you can play two-man, our corners are all so comfy, and you can see it. Like, this is raw talent. I said in true one-on-ones, I think Terran Arnold's a good cover corner. Forget everything you've heard. I think he's a good cover corner in true one-on-one spots. I said that last week in our defensive video. And this is a great example of that. But also across the board. How about a Meek Robertson one-on-one with Justin Jefferson? That's not open. That's not open. Teams don't really have this. Terrion, this is really good coverage at the top of the screen one-on-one with Addison here. Look at this comeback route. Look at him settle down at the top of the route. This is pretty good coverage across the board, right? The Lions
They have man-covered guys. And again, they may not have the best cornerback in football. But what they have is they don't have a group that you can just pick on somebody and expose them. They don't have that. They have a well-rounded group. By the way, Terriot sounds like he's playing. He's going to be back from his injury. He's going to play. He's going to find the field. Here's a miscommunication that's just thrown away. Let's go cover one of this play. Now, this actually gets called as an illegal contact. And what I love is the Lions aren't shying away from man just because of flags. They have been consistent with that all year. Hey, we're going to take the flags. What did they say? Like they can't call 30 flags or something? It was something crazy he said. The point is, they're going to be straightforward. Yeah, you might get a couple flags, but we're still going to make you earn it. And this was the perfect game to do that again because we're not giving them ease of access. We're going to shut down your run because outside of the first drive and a 58-yard run on one of those split zone looks where they have it beneath and our guy takes it and he runs out of the play. Outside of that, you didn't really have a run game. So they took away step one, which is always step one against the Vikings. And then they didn't give them ease of getting yards back. They didn't give you yards. They weren't playing we're not going to give up the big play. They said, you got to go earn everything. Cheer, cover one. Now this, again, becomes illegal contact. But I want to focus on this. Right? We talk about the help that Amik Robertson got in this game. Yeah, the safety's going to help over top, but watch him impress one-on-one with Justin Jefferson. This is heck of coverage here, man. This is outstanding coverage. And then he gets the pass breakup. Now, again, let's point to the little things here. Plastering, a 3-level effort, right? It's got to be a 3-level effort. You know what's really nice? Having a guy like Alex Anzalone back. Watch the awareness here. Again, one of these 3-by-1 looks. They bring Campbell. He becomes the free rusher. He sets us up beautifully on this play. Muhammad gets pressure. Watch Alex's awareness here. He's right here on the center. Watch him feel the quarterback leave, stays on top of it, closes ground. He's got nowhere to go. That's great awareness. And then watch the back end here in man coverage. Look at this by Terrion. Are you kidding me? This is really good coverage, man. There's no help over top. He's working one-on-one and Naylor. Press, stab, stay on top of him. I mean, these guys are in their wheelhouse right now, and they called a flag on Branch. Whatever, man. I'll live with a few of those. Whatever. That's a weak route, if you ask me. We'll live with a few of those. Great cover one robber look. There's nothing crazy about this, but they're just running some over routes. They have the drag route underneath, and they're just making them earn that they can get open. Terrion's got iffy help. You got help over top here. Again, this is tremendous coverage by Amik. This is tremendous. Gets right in his hip. He's battling with this dude. And again, it's just really coverage across the board. Really good coverage across the board. Watch Iffy on this play. Look at Iffy's awareness. To slide, pedal, stays underneath Addison. There's nowhere to throw the football. It's just straight up here. We're just not giving you easy throws. We're not giving you zone looks. You got to go earn it. And he couldn't earn it. Where is he supposed to go with the ball here? What decision is what's the right move here from Darnold? I don't know. I don't know what the right decision is because it's great coverage. And that's tough to make decisions when you don't have guys that can win. And by the way, side note, Lions got the best receiving core against man coverage this season. We talked about that last week. I did it on the Bleacher Report show as well. Just a little side note. The Lions in 2 years went from a team that I'm like, I don't know if they can beat man to they have the best man coverage receiving core.
And the reason I show this article, this was from week 1 to week 11 this season, is because I think it showcases the uniqueness of the Lions' coverage ability and what they truly do have in the back end. These guys can play, and they have a lot of versatility, safety, linebacker, a lot of guys that can cover. And when they say that you're going to use man coverage, it's kind of like their offense's run game that they can just get to. It shows off on things like this. You see that it says that Sam Darnold's one of those guys where his DVOA drops significantly against zone coverage. Now, for the Lions this season, we've seen that in passer rating when throwing versus zone coverage versus man coverage this season. We've seen those things. But for the Vikings, this is flipped. It should be the opposite. You shouldn't have success playing 67% man coverage against this team. But that showcases what the Lions are truly capable of because this offense has been that good this season.
Here's the big run that they gave up. And if you look at a play like this, 58 yards for Akers, they go split zone on the play. And just watch. When we're in man coverage, that's the problem, right? That's the problem on a play like this. That's the problem on a play like this. If you do switch in man coverage like this with TJ Hawkinson, and he splits across and he passes it off to Campbell, and Campbell leaves, now nobody's in that backside zone, and all of a sudden you can't get over top because this block right here that hinges down on Muhammad, he can't get back inside of his gap here. Now you are exposed because here comes the split zone block. He takes out Iffy Melifonwu on a play. Essentially, TJ took 2 players out of this play. That's where their big run came from, and we see it on a play like this. So it was a good play offensively. They found success. Man coverage, great. We're going to go split zone. Let me talk about the creativity a little bit. Aaron Glenn, look at the defensive front here. I thought the first time I saw this was a mistake, and I was like, oh man, they must have just lined up wrong. Nope, they did this twice. I know it cuts off a little bit. Notice Pat O'Connor's working on the guard and not a defensive end. They would slide their athletic defensive end inside and kick out Pascal. So essentially, they would put their big bodies on one side when they got inside the 5-yard line. They did this earlier with Za'Darius. Za'Darius was in Pat's spot, and Pascal was outside wide. And I'm like, what are they doing? This has to be on accident. But it wasn't. The Lions were essentially saying, we're going to get upfield with the athletic defensive line, Za'Darius or Pat O'Connor, and we're going to spill it back to our big guys, Reader and Levi. You're going to spill it right back to those guys. And that's what they did. They spilled it by creating disruption upfield. Then they could step down. They would spill it back to the big guys who are going to dominate their single blocks, and they would have nowhere to go, and it led to multiple run stuffs by DJ Reader. How about this? Veterans. DJ Reader here. Look at the contain. Look at the awareness from Reader. Here comes the pressure from Josh Pascal. Watch Reader read this. Reader sees it.
He stops himself right here, and he's like, let me get back outside. He's inside. I got to get back outside. He contains the play. Pascal chases it down. Notice he has nowhere to go with the football. Lions are covering it up well. They're plastering in the back end. He has nowhere to throw on a broken play. One of those plays where you're probably thinking, yeah, he should have thrown this, and he should have thrown this. But again, to me, the problem is this. One, they don't switch on the play, so they're not giving them easy routes just by creating a switch. They're going over top of everything. And maybe this is an adjustment to find a route that's going to beat that, because we're going to create a rub on the play. They do the short motion to verify the coverage, and then here we go. They drop out Trevor again on the play. They kind of bracket that in with Trevor, and then they're just going to play straight man. So when they run this whip route and the under route, this pass is open. But again, to me, the spacing is really good for the Lions here, right? Watch Darnold's awareness. He doesn't bump this. He works back over top of it. Very good spacing by Terrion. Then, how about Kerby Joseph, man? The instincts. That's what the Lions need. They need this defense. The Lions aren't going to have the best defensive line in any game. They're not going to have the best cornerback in any game. They probably won't have the best line. Well, they might have the best linebacker with Jack and Alex. But the point is what's going to make them dangerous. And I think this is the reason that it's constantly shined in the red zone all season, but sometimes it doesn't always shine throughout the rest of the field, is because the rest of the field, there's more field to cover. So it's hard to get these condensed look where you can just play man and you can play fast, or even in zone coverage, you can take away spacing because the field's too big. But in a game like this where they lean heavy, man, and they were attacking, the Lions need these guys like this that are just instinctual. The Alex Anzalonis, the instinctual plays, right? The reading of the eyes. Again, now Darnold has to make decisions. Do I trust that that's there? There's no bump on the play. He played this pretty well. So now he looks at it, and Kerby reads the quarterback's eyes, steps over top, and now he's in this window. So Darnold doesn't like it. He doesn't throw it. He should have, but he didn't, because they made them make that decision. Sam Darnold's been one of the best decision makers this year in zone. But you know what I thought when I watched plays like this? Is I thought back to the interception that he threw against us the first time around. The Lions went two-man coverage, and they switched it off with their safeties on those vertical crossing routes. And the problem there was he made a bad decision over top. He didn't know who to go to in man coverage when the Lions had their two deep safeties over top. He didn't know who to go to because it wasn't as simple as there's a zone beater here. There wasn't just a man beater on these plays. He had to make tight window decisions against man, and he made some poor decisions. He was in their head a little bit. There's a five-man rush. There's not a lot of pressure here, really, until late here. DJ Reader starts to roll through. And then watch as this play breaks down. Again, look at how they plaster everything. He should have thrown this. He doesn't throw it. But the reason is because once he went to here, he went to TJ Hawkinson on the play, and he's covered up incredibly well. Trevor slides over. Kerby takes away this route. Now by the time he comes back, he's late. Reader stays active with the play, spills him out of the pocket, and then again, look at the contain. This is so much better than weeks ago. I mean, everybody's actively like, where's the quarterback? Where's the quarterback? Pascal's like, I'm finding the quarterback. He contains. Look at the plaster. This is Terrion Arnold. That was torched on this against Buffalo. Not today. All over him. He allowed 0 receptions on 4 targets. 39 passer rating allowed. By the way, Vildor did the same thing. A lot of 39 passer rating in this game. Just thought I'd throw that out. To me, this was the one example or the one stretch that I can point to where I think Aaron Glenn was really creative in a smart way. The plan was, let's play fast. We're going to outplay this team. We're going to play with speed, right? We're not going to overthink it. We're not going to try to outsmart Kevin O'Connell. We're just going to play really fast. Until we get to the red zone, then we can be a little more deceptive because the field is a lot smaller. But here was the stretch where I said, okay, Aaron Glenn, you got in your bag at the perfect time. And that was this. They're playing all this man coverage. You don't know who's in man here, who's the man there. And Aaron Glenn makes this quick little wrinkle in the second drive of the second half, and he comes out and he says, let's play some zone coverage. Let's zone blitz. So they play cover 2, and they blitz out of it. They blitz out of a cover 2 look here. So you have 2 less underneath defenders. And they just shake it up. They just shake it up at the perfect time. They don't overstay their welcome, but they shake it up at the perfect time. And how about Chris Smith, right? Talk about consistency. Just blows the center back on the play. Welcome to the squad, Chris Smith. Way to do your thing there. We love seeing that. But this little zone coverage wrinkle, a Tampa 2 blitz on the play. They didn't do it too often, but they just did it enough to sprinkle something different in.
The concept by the offense, I almost look at this more as maybe the expectation was going to be the Lions will go cover 4 here. It was either going to be man or probably cover 4 on first down, like they had done early in this game. We had already seen. We did it last time we played Minnesota on first down. So the look almost looks more so like that. Then on the snap to go to Tampa 2, then bring 6 rushers essentially out on the play. And I do like how Terrion kind of held up for a second here because Darnold then couldn't just check the ball down into the flat. But the beater looks more so for a cover 4 look, right? You have kind of the double seams on the play. Maybe you get behind the backer with the play action, or essentially Brian Branch, I guess, in this case. Then on the backside, you have this deep curl route that you can try to fire between the safety and cornerback, but instead, the Lions break out of that, so that's not going to be there anyway, but then also the blitz blows everything up regardless.
He's throwing it to nobody, really threw it to Zedarius. That should have been a pick, but it was a great time to just throw a slight sprinkle, and it
made me think of what we talked about coming into the game was like, you kind of want to have like two plans, but I was thinking it from the wrong perspective. I was thinking about the perspective of how can we throw this team off? How can we disguise and confuse them? The Lions disguised them with safeties because you didn't know where they were going post-snap, and they disguised it at one point. They had one stretch where they just gave them something else to think about, and I think it threw them off. This is a great example of the Lions safety movement that was a problem, because if you're looking at this, you're probably thinking right now like, okay, yeah, these guys are probably two deep zone defenders. But if you're the Vikings, you may not be thinking that. The reason is because in this game, the Lions put their safety on the running back, and they showed a look just like this, and their safety took the back on the play. So you might be thinking, okay, maybe it's a cover one blitz. And then you notice right before the snap, they start to bail to where they're going to go. The safety movement was everything. They rock out of it on the play. Now he rolls down on the play. They're going back to one of their two-man looks. So he slides over Braxton Jefferson. He stays into that second level pass. I mean, they clearly knew exactly what was going to happen. Deep out, deep in route. Now this time, Amik fell down and got beat on the deep out route. But this is exactly what Minnesota lives into, is these deep second level throws. And the Lions had the perfect game plan.
And the thing is, the best plan for the offense here would have been just to look at the cornerback leverage, that they're all sitting outside leverage, because that will tell you there's probably going to be a single high safety. The problem is there's actually kind of two deep safeties on the play, though again, they're just kind of bracketing in Justin Jefferson with one of their safeties. That's why Amik's sitting outside leverage. Now he gets beat towards the outside leverage, which is where he can't get beat because he doesn't have any help there, and that's where when he falls down, he wants to flag. But the point is that the look that they're giving you is very deceptive, and it's just straight through the safeties, and they're still giving help on these spots. So he's throwing an outside throw versus an outside leverage cornerback, and as a defense, you'd feel pretty good about that.
So much credit to Aaron Glenn. This was a beautiful game plan. But in this case, you're thinking, okay, maybe he's got the back. No, he doesn't. Jack has the back on the play. So now again, you're forcing him to deal with the disguise is the safeties. Now once he gets beyond that, we're straight playing man, and you got to try to find somebody that's going to win. This time, he trusts Jefferson, and he does win on the out route because Amik falls down on the play. He wanted an offense pass interference, didn't get it. I don't think he should have on that play. But continue to look at the safety movement that the Lions had pre-snap. Again, here, safety starts to build middle of the field. Pre-snap, then Kirby rolls right back over top. Now he's taking the back. This is exactly what I was talking about. I forgot it was the next play. This is why I point this out, because you're thinking, okay, now Kirby's bailing middle of the field. He definitely doesn't have the running back. Yeah, he does have the running back. Here comes Kirby racing across the field. I got the running back. And this is what causes confusion. All of this post-snap movement here. Iffy Melifanu, you're thinking, okay, maybe I'm getting the same look, right? Are we getting some sort of two-man? Does he have the running back on the play? We know these guys are a man, but what is everybody else doing? Where are these guys going? And at the snap, Kirby's like, I got the running back. I'm going to race all the way over there. And then if he's like, yep, I'm going to bracket in Justin Jefferson. And again, look at the confusion. Darnold's throwing it right at Iffy Melifanu.
And what I think tells you everything you need to know about the game plan is the way the Lions are playing the sticks like an offense would. So we see the cover zero look at the 7-yard line. They know they have to get the ball out fast if they bring everybody, and he's got a long way to go. So like, fine, we'll give up 3 yards, but you're probably going to push to the end zone, so we're going to take that away by speeding you up, and then we're just going to plant everybody on the end zone. And then to play like this, rather than having the one rat defender, you could call him, instead of just being a single high safety on the play and taking away something vertical, he steps down right to the sticks and like, let's take away Jefferson. We'll leave everybody else on an island, take away Jefferson. Don't let him be the guy that beats you, and everybody's going to press outside of it. So for the Lions, they're playing the timing. They're saying, let's take away their number one threat, and he's going to settle in on the sticks rather than just playing as a deep middle field safety, because why would that help you at all in this spot, right? You're trying to take away the sticks because you're expecting them to play the sticks. So the Lions, game plan wise, just felt like they were a step ahead all the time, and that's just kind of simple logic. Yeah, they're probably trying to go over the first down marker. Let's just play that. To explain why this is so deceptive. Notice how in the short motion, Kerby Joseph rolls that way to really hide the coverage. The key to that is Minnesota uses a lot of pre-snap motion simply to kind of get a tell on what the coverage is. Man or zone, then they'll have a beater, and that's what they do almost every snap. The problem for Sam is he has a pretty good sense it's probably man coverage here. The problem is that he can't answer is he doesn't know, okay, is the linebacker have him? Does the safety have him? Is the safety blitzing? What are the two free defenders doing? And at this point, it's the two safeties. So because he isn't sure on that, the motion really doesn't give him any answer beside the fact that it's man. And Kirby plays into that by moving that direction on the short motion, because now you get a sense like, oh, he's going that direction when I snap it. So maybe I can go the opposite way to my singled up Jalen Naylor. But then at the snap, when he bails the other direction, now as the quarterback, you're thinking, well, maybe he's bracketing that in. I got to stay away from that. Let me go the opposite direction. The problem is that's where Iffy steps down to the sticks. And where Kerby Joseph went on the play, you may be thinking he's bracketing in, hey, that receiver, and maybe that linebacker that peeled out is taking the running back, so there's no point in looking that direction. That's not true. Kirby's actually taking the running back. The linebacker's just whipping over there to go blitz the quarterback. So there's so much deception here that's happening for Darnold, where these little answers pre-snap are actually, I think, hurting him at times because he's getting the wrong answers. Idea of like, okay, we're going to confuse the offense, but we're not going to make it confusing for the defense. It's pretty simple for the defense. It's a lot for the offense to deal with. And in this case, it was for Sam Darnold. How about this zone run here? How about Levi on Zarike again? Look at him just dominating his blocks one-on-one. I mean, he makes this play by himself. They go to the stretch run. This time the Lions are playing a little bit more straightforward on the play. He's just dominating. Levi had that kind of game, and I wanted to give him the credit that he deserves when watching this thing back. How about this man coverage on the play? You could see the hesitancy already from the quarterback. Success on a stunt between Josh Pascal on this play. Right on the outside, he hits the tackle, he opens it up, and they're just making these guards work on the play. They knew they had a down offensive line, and they went right at that. But then again, look at the safety confusion. All right, we know it's man. It's going to be bunched up, but the safety, is he got the running back? No, he doesn't. On the snap, he's going to slide over. Let me bracket in the inside of the field. Then we got a deep safety over here, and that's what they did. They constantly just had rolling safeties. And then again, how about the spacing from the Lions here? Alex Anzalone works underneath here. Works underneath with the tight end here. This is really good spacing. It's really good coverage. Look at Amik Robertson. He knows he has inside help. Watch him settle in outside leverage right here on Justin Jefferson. Where are you going to throw this football? Right? You're making Sam Darnold make really tough decisions against man, and the confusion is all in the safeties. Where do I go with the ball on the play? Okay, I don't like that. That's covered up. This is covered up great. Now he forces it underneath here, and Alex Anzalone does his job. Someone's always going to get singled up because there's only two safeties. But the point is the Lions don't have guys that you can just pick on over and over. They don't have that. It's the same story over and over. Safety bails out. Linebacker's taking the back this time. It's a four-man rush, but we're just going to keep working. We're forcing you to hold on to the football. And again, they just bracket in their best receivers. They're allowing their guys to press, be physical. This is really good coverage across the board. I mean, look at this. And now we'll step down. We'll pass off the in-breaker.
And again, the Lions play it different with the safety. Safety presses up on the line pre-snap. Does he have the back? I don't know. Then Kirby bails. But you can see Kirby on this play is playing actually inside of the out route. So at the bottom of the screen, cornerback has to play with a different leverage. Now he's forcing him to the sideline rather than saying I have inside help. Now he's actually playing him to the sideline. So Darnold goes middle of the field on this play where the safety sitting there waiting for it to happen. He's waiting for him to catch that pass. And again, Brian Branch does just win one-on-one here against Hockenson. But it's so many different leverage alignments where it's like you can't run a play because you know it's man and like that guy's going to be open this time. He doesn't know until he snaps it because everybody's moving to different spots.
It's a five-man rush, but they're winning up front. It's strength in numbers. They're overloading one side of the offense fine. Who wins? Levi. Again, Levi cooked. I'm telling you, this was Levi's coming out party, and everybody's going to come back and circle this if he continues to take off. This was his game. This was his Giants game. Cover one blitz. There's just no time. He can't get to the sticks. He can't even wait. There's nothing here for Darnold to do. And again, it's not like zone where it's like, we'll just anticipate and try to throw it somewhere. You can't. You got to wait for something to break. I don't know who's going to be open on the play. Your Kirby's helping out here, bracket over top, so he can play underneath and be aggressive, and he's settling right into that. Amik was literally the perfect underneath man coverage player. He was amazing in that. If he steps down, there's your versatility to take away Hockenson. Where do you throw the ball on this play? I don't know, because you don't have time, because Levi decided to wreck the game. The graphic that I used over there on Bleacher Report. And to me, this is what makes the Lions defense ability to sustain. They play fast. They're very smart. They have excellent coaching. We pointed out all of these decisions that they make then made. And then we also showed the graphic of this wasn't like this is what everybody does against Sam. Of course you play a lot of man. No, they played it fast. And the Lions have the personnel to do that. They truly do. Terrion is a very good man coverage player. It's just all of the little things that he needs to be really good at. And his spacing was so much better. The safeties passing off things in man coverage. The versatility they have. Amik Robertson playing underman. Allowed 4 receptions on 8 targets. The red zone defense. We see how good that is. Very sound coverage schemes when they get inside the 20, which allows them to play so fast defensively. The blitzing success. It was an excellent opportunity to use so many stunts, and they did it to perfection. The run defense was good outside of one big run and really just the first drive as they settled in. Their linebacker play, to me, is their best that it's been. Look at this. This is their stats against tight ends. I hear all the time how tight ends cook us. Yeah, these are their stats on the season against tight ends per game. Third in receptions allowed per game, third in yards allowed per game, fourth in touchdowns per game allowed to tight ends. That's their stats this season against tight ends so far this year. And again, Brian Branch allows you to change everything because he plays so well against the run. We don't have to succumb to put a linebacker on the field, otherwise you can't stop the run. They're just like, you know what, we'll put Branch there because he's pretty much the same against the run, if not better against the run. He has the ability to do that. And these two guys that the Lions are leaning on, they're bringing it home for us. This was a heck of a performance. It was incredible coaching by Aaron Glenn. I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, Prep, for watching, and I'm out.